fellow female activists. Cathy here, your wellness coach, and we are here. This is a recommendation playlist video, and this is about the 21-day equity challenge. So go ahead and if you're new here, hello, like and subscribe, and you will get to know that when we are in the wellness or the recommendation playlist, we always start with our positive quotient repetitions. So I'm going to take this off for now. I don't need my glasses for this. So go ahead, wherever you're at. If you are used to meditation, so it's kind of like meditation, but you want to be in a safe, quiet space if you can. You can feel free to close your eyes if you wish, only if you feel safe or if you can be safe. And whether you're sitting, standing, laying down, I want you to elongate your spine. Again, if you feel the need, the wish to close your eyes, please do. I will do so myself. And what I want you to do is use your fingertips and whatever surface they're on, go ahead and move your fingertips around whatever surface they're on. So you might notice the texture. Are you creating friction? Any friction? Is there any warmth or coolness to what you're feeling? What is coming up for you as you use your fingertips to explore what they're touching? Now, go ahead and bring the palms together, and with the same type of intention, slowly rub your fingertips all together. What do you feel? You probably feel friction or heat. You can go ahead and move your fingers all the way down the opposite hand, the palm. You probably can even feel with detail your fingerprints. That's how closely you may be concentrating. You feel the lines of your palm. Are you ticklish? Now, go ahead and let your hands calm down and just notice your breath without changing it. Every time you breathe, can you say breath to yourself internally? And with that, go ahead, blink your eyes open if they were closed. Woohoo! So hopefully you feel refreshed. I know I do. So that was positive quotient repetitions, or PQ reps. And again, I have several different playlists, and on the recommendation playlist, which this is, we still will follow our positive quotient repetitions, or PQ reps. So today's recommendations are once a month, and they are hopefully the type of recommendation where you're going to take action. And that's why they're only once a month, because I don't want to overwhelm you. Again, my whole premise is to give you wellness tips so that you can create your own wellness plan. I can help you with that, but if you are a DIYer, then feel free to just take these tips, right, and utilize them as you wish. But the wellness playlist obviously has wellness tips, the recommendation playlist, which this is today, is all about how to, again, whether that's helping you in your daily self-care routine, right? And or more oftentimes than not, it's actually about how to fight what we're dealing with in the United States, which unfortunately is fascism. So today's actual recommendation is really big on fighting fascism. And it's in very much alignment with why it matters how we got here. And I want to share my screen. So let me actually, before I do that, let me do something so that I don't forget how to do this. Oh, there we go. Okay, I did it. Now to share with you, I want to make sure that I took something away so it didn't take away from the sharing. All right, so you should see on the screen this website. And in particular, it is Debbie Irving's webpage on 21-day racial equity habit building challenge. It's quite a mouthful, but a wonderful friend of mine, she sent this to me, and I remember it very distinctly because it was unfortunately during the not unfortunate that she sent it to me, but the reason why she sent it to me was it was right after, unfortunately, the online lynching of Mr. George Floyd back in May of 2020. And so it must have been at least, I'm going to say just probably like, I'm going to say June 2nd. The reason why I clearly remember at least it being around that time was because I was so much in shock of what happened because of what happened to Mr. Floyd, that it was hard for me to understand what the heck was going on, right? And so I remember texting her, and she again sent me this because I could not believe what had happened. And, you know, I'm sure that probably was unsettling for her, only because, yes, she happens to be Black. She's also Muslim. And I say that only because I had been her friend for years. Okay. And me being another uh, minority, I took it for granted that for whatever reason, I could presume that I uh, would know what she was going through as a Black person. And that was so far from the truth. And so she offered this to me because I asked her, I so need to understand what the hell is happening. And so she sent this to me. She wasn't going to call to me. She wasn't going to say that, why didn't she could have, and probably she should have, and I would have been okay with it. I consider her like a sister. So I was more than so grateful to her that she just said, "Hey, why don't you check this out?" And it basically led me on the anti-racist track for sure. So I want to thank her. I don't want to name her out because I don't want to necessarily, put her in any type of frame or harm, because I know not just people like me watch this probably. But with that said, this changed my whole perspective. Again, I grew up under the, yes, I grew up as a Latina, i.e., I grew up already in a world of patriarchy and misogyny. I'm a woman, for God's sake. And so I know what it's like, but I don't know what it's like for Black people, right? I don't know what it's like for people who are perhaps were not born in the United States like I was. And so I already had the upper hand, right, on other people simply because I'm a citizen. I was born here. Now, that doesn't mean much anymore, apparently, but at the time, at least, we had that, I had that going for me, let's say. But what this was the eye opener. And so ever since that day, um, I have been using this as a resource. And what's awesome is that it gives all sorts of resources. So it is basically this list that you can download, okay? And it's about being open. And basically, it's all about finding, okay, all the resources that you're going to take action on, okay? Like be willing to actually decide, okay, in what way can I, one, get informed? And then two, how can I then take action? Now, I'm preaching to the choir, I know, because again, those who are usually subscribed are fellow female activists. And I am hoping to reach the 90 million who did not vote in 2024. So I'm not talking about those, unfortunately, who are deprived of voting rights simply because of right now age, right? You get to be level 18, age 18 to vote. And you also must not have any type of a criminal record, so to speak. Like anyone who's been convicted, right, and has been incarcerated, sometimes their their voting rights cannot automatically be renewed, so to speak, or reinstated. There are different procedures involved. So I want to know, I want to talk to the people. Okay, so there's actually three components to the 90 million. Okay, so I'm going off a little topic here, but I at least want to show you, this website. I'm trying to reach, as again, I'm sure you as fellow film activists are also trying to do, we're trying to reach not those, again, who are ineligible for whatever reason, right? Whether that's because of prior convictions and or trying to reinstate their right to vote, and maybe they're just not eligible by age. And I'm not trying to reach those that were registered and chose not to vote. All right, I can't save you. Who I'm trying to share this with is actually the others who don't fit in those other two categories. So the 1/3 of the 90 million who were not even registered. For whatever reason, they could have been registered because they met all the requirements to do so, but they have never registered. So I am looking at you, the third, okay, of that 90 million who have never been registered to vote and probably could have voted in 2024. This website is a wonderful way for you to, one, really understand why you thought your vote wasn't going to matter. Okay. And two, it will help you understand why you must register right now. Okay. Right after listening to this video, register to vote, and then come back to this and start that 21-day equity challenge so that you can absolutely understand what we're up against now. My fellow female activists already know that we're in fascism. If you were unaware, well, now you live in a fascist regime. Your government has turned to fascism. What does that mean? That means if you're familiar at all with the global wars that happened in the 1930s, I'm sorry, the 1920s and the 1930s, there was global wars, right? And it culminated in both times fighting fascism. And so when you think about what people went through during those wars, guess what? It's repeating itself now in the United States. Now, let's be very clear. The United States was never a wonderful democracy. It was stolen land, okay, taken from the indigenous people who were already cultivating and taking care of the land with great care. Then it was built by slaves, okay? And so fascism has always somewhat existed, but not quite as extreme as you see it now. So while we supposedly don't have slavery anymore, right? It can very well come back. All right. So don't think that in any way, shape, or form, again, that this is okay, right? That what we're going through, we are repeating history and the worst type of history. So right now the United States has had concentration camps before, and now they're coming back in the worst way imaginable. And we have deported our own citizens before. It has happened in the worst way imaginable, and now it's back. So nothing that's happening now has never happened. It's happened before. It's just that you didn't necessarily learn about it. and that was by design. So now that we're seeing it, we're in shock, or maybe they're trying very hard to make it so that we're not shocked anymore. But we must always be shocked, okay? When you start deciding to take up this 21-day racial equity habit building challenge, it will definitely put you in the mindset of, oh my gosh, what did I not know? And you feel awful. I still feel awful. And I also know that now that I am working on being anti-racist, that puts me in a better position to then talk to you all, again, the third out of that 90 million who didn't believe that their vote mattered. It absolutely does matter. It could have made a difference between us living in a much better place right now than what we're dealing with. And so I'm not here to berate anyone. I am here to share with you a wonderful resource that can help you understand better how to get activated, and to do so knowing that your voice absolutely matters. So again, you can go through, okay, and there's like a little checklist, and I'll show you the checklist. It's right here, the little chart, and you can go through. I'm not gonna, click on anything, but you have all these little resources, okay, and then you choose which part, okay, of the challenge that you want to choose from, right? So I found so many different resources, right? Okay. So you can start listening to a podcast, right? Um, you know, take up a reflection journal type of practice. There's so many different examples given as to how you can start your 21-day challenge. And what's interesting is that once I started, then I became so much more willing to hear the other perspectives. I wasn't willing to ever realize how important it was to hear what other people are thinking and why they voted the way they did until I understood what was missing. We're not taught real history. And this 21-day equity challenge will absolutely emphasize that and have you realize what we didn't know hurt us so much. It is interesting that white supremacy has always had a hold on what we call the United States experiment. So never upfront, okay? It is systemic. And if we want to build a more perfect union that actually includes everyone, that doesn't leave the most vulnerable behind, first we have to fight fascism. And along the way, we get to educate ourselves how to be anti-racist. Until people are willing to deal with the racism that they implicitly have, we're going to keep repeating this horrible, horrible cycle of white supremacy. And so it's up to you, not anyone else. It's up to you to get informed and to then share this with others. Okay. So again, it's a wonderful resource. I took it seriously. Since then, I had the privilege of learning about podcasts like Seen on Radio, learning about different books, that can actually fill in all the gaps that we had when we were in high school, right? And it's a privilege again, because it takes reaching out to others to realize I am not now, I never thought I was the smartest tool in the shed, but what I'm getting at is when you're willing to get out of your comfort zone, is what it comes down to. When you're willing to admit that you are not the be all, end all, that you absolutely get to understand that where you're at this moment shouldn't determine you helping others. In fact, where you're at, and if that's in a place of any type of privilege, then you get to make sure that you're not leaving behind anyone else. And what I mean by that is once you're learning and you have a solid foundation, now you're obligated to make sure that you're bringing others with you. Okay. And it's not going to be comfortable and it's not going to be fun. And when you do, we're going to make the changes that we want to see. We are now living in fascism, or rather, a very more authoritarian version of fascism. And to get rid of it, it's going to be long, it's going to be hard. And when we have more truth as to how we got here, the more powerful collectively we all become, and we can overcome this. So again, the 21-day equity challenge, I am so grateful that I was given this resource, and I know that it will be helpful to you and to anyone else that you share it with. With that, be safe, and I will ask you to take care, take charge, and God bless.